Hello and welcome back to art class. This is going to be a 2-week project. Today is the practice day for our project because we do need to practice a little bit of what we're going to do for our final one. So this is going to be called what we call the line lion. And we'll discuss the lion part next week, but in this part we're going to discuss the line part. And in art we use lines a lot. Generally, we're using them to give a look to something. So some make some kind of shape, like a circle or square and things like that. But lines, the way we draw our lines is really important as well. So today, what you're going to need is, you might want to have a pencil and eraser handy. I'm not going to use mine too much today. I am going to use my crayons and a needed piece of paper. If this is just a big scratch piece of paper at your house, this is okay, because this is a practice version of what we're going to do. And it's just going to be some practice of different kinds of lines so that we're really good with these lines before we do the actual project part. Okay, so what's really great about this project is very colorful, because you're going to use as many colors as we can. So I need you to choose one that you want to work with. I am going to pick, my first one is going to be gray. It doesn't get used very often, I can see, because it's got a nice sharp tip still. So I don't want it to be lonely, I'm going to use it in this picture. You can use whatever color you want. And I kind of suggest going along with this, so you may want to play, pause for this project. All right, so our first line that we want to do is going to be here at the top, and we're going to do many, many different kinds of lines here at the paper to practice, because we're going to use many of them for our picture. All right, for our first one is one I think most of you know really, really well. It is in the shape of capital M's, so it's got really sharp points on it, so like this. I'm gonna draw it and then you can see it. Okay, so this is my zigzag line. That's usually what people call this, is a zigzag line. But if you look at it, it is just capital M's, or if you look at it a different way, it's capital W's that are all touching each other. Okay. So I want you to do a zigzag line across the top of your paper. Then what I need you to do is grab a new color. I'm going to grab this orangish color. And our next line is going to be kind of similar to this. Instead of sharp points, it's going to have curves. This, like hills. Or if you look at it from the side, it looks kind of like an S that never ends. Grab a new color. These ones get used all the time in art. Here's one that gets used sometimes. This is what I like to call the bumpy line. So it's going to be like lowercase m's. Like this. Okay. Now, what's interesting about this line is it looks very different if we flip it around. So these are all lowercase m's. Now, if I flip it around and do lowercase w's, it looks very similar, but it can be used differently. So let me finish drawing here. Oops. Okay, so here in this one, this could be, if you were driving on it, it'd be like a bumpy road, lots of rocks on the road. Here, this one's like water waves, and all I did was I flipped it upside down. So this is lowercase m's, this is lowercase w's, and they're all linked together. And notice I did use the same color for that one because it's actually the same line, just flipped over. All right. Grab a new color. This is a new line. Our next line is a LoopDeloop line or curly Q line. It depends on who you're asking. And it goes like this. It's very similar to this line here. It starts out kind of like a W, but it kind of loops around and then comes back down. and it looks a little bit like cursive, if you've ever seen cursive writing. Okay? Now what's nice about this line is the loop is on the top, but I can also make it that the loop is on the bottom. It's a similar look to how this one is done. Okay? Except it has a loop in the middle, so it's like these are M's with loops. And this is like W's with loops. All right, new color. I already used that one. Use this one. Okay. So the next line that's really kind of important is one that you actually see every time you get in a car probably and you look out the window. It looks like this. Okay, it's what we call a dotted or dashed line. A dotted line would also look like this. Let me draw it in here. That. Okay, so it could be looking like this, it could look this, or it could go a different way. You could actually replace these pieces with different kinds of shapes. So I could actually go in here, and since it's February right now, I could go in and replace them with hearts and make a line out of hearts, or squares, or triangles. If you're running out of room on your paper, that is okay. I'm getting pretty close to the bottom, so you may be getting really close to the bottom. Just flip your paper over and do some on the back. Remember, this is just kind of a practice sheet. Okay? Only got a couple more lines to do. All right. I think I used that one already. Use the next one. Okay, so there are 3 ones here. This is a dash line, a dotted line, and then you pick a shape for this line here. Our next line is a bit more fun. It is what I call a scribble. This would be my scribble. It doesn't really look like anything in specific, but again, I'm making sure I'm not going over everything, so be careful you don't go crazy with your scribble. It's just a scribbly line like that. Got 2 more lines to go over. Okay. My next line, and I think I may have to do one on the back just because I'm going to run out of room here. My next line is going to be very similar to my zigzag line, except I'm going to do it a little bit closer together, and it's kind of more, I think of it kind of like lightning. Like this. Some people might use it for grass. I happen to have green in here, and so I'm thinking grass now, but it's really just getting these lines much closer together, and I'm keeping all sharp points like that. So this might be something you might see for grass line. All right, one more we got to do, and I couldn't fit it on the front, so I will do it on the back. Okay, this one is the line that I might see on top of a castle. Okay, and this one is one, it starts kind of weird, like blocks. They call them parapets on a castle. Like this. Okay. What I need you to do is make sure you've practiced all of these lines. If you're having trouble with one, like if you have trouble with the LoopDeloop, then give it another shot on the back. If you had some trouble with the bumpy line or the wave line, which is actually the same line right here, again, give it another shot on the back. We want to have good practice with doing these. Remember, they are going to use probably about half of these for sure on our project. We might use a little bit more. Make it as colorful as you want. This also could be turned into, like I'm just thinking, as March starts to come in, you could cut this out and turn it into an egg, and then you'd have an Easter egg. All right, so get this picture uploaded for me. Just show me that you got this done, and I will see you next week for the second half of this.